Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're back with another mod showcase, and that is because we're releasing update 2 for Tricky Trials Plus. Now, one quick disclaimer, this update was worked on very quickly, and it doesn't include a lot, because we split what was meant to be in update 2, and that's been pushed to update 3. Just because we wanted to get all the feedback from what you guys suggested. Now, once again, we want to hear your feedback on the changes we made in this version, so do let us know in the comments. But before you comment, let us know if you've actually messed around with the update, or if you're leaving the comment based on what you see in the video, as playing with the update and leaving feedback that way is way better for us. Now, before we jump into what's new, I quickly just want to mention two things. First of all, thanks to Centauri and TheBlockyGoat for helping with this update once again. They have done an incredible job with textures, models and things like that. You can find both their links in the description as well as the download to this mod. And secondly, there is a server that I have opened, a Minecraft server which you can join. It purely just has this one mod in. So if you want to mess around with this mod, beat the tricky chamber inside of survival mode with people, then join the server. The IP is on screen. This server is temporary and will only be open for about 2 months while I wait for create and stuff like that to update to the more recent version, so then we can have a more permanent server open again. But let's jump straight back to the features. The first changes are within the ominous trial chamber, but that is where most of the changes come for this update. Firstly, the name has been changed. A lot of people were confused with us calling it the ominous trial chamber, so it's now called the tricky chamber, because obviously the Minecraft version is called the trial chamber, and with the update being called Tricky Trials, it's the tricky chamber. Now, the next thing is texture update. We have updated a lot of the textures for titanium as well as ominous slate to make them a little bit more unique and not copying the copper blocks. So let me quickly just jump down here and show you all the new textures. So the only two texture changes with ominous slate are the chiseled ominous slate bricks, which you can see has been made just to have more of a diagonal corner. And then the normal chiseled ominous slate has been changed to symbolize the heavy core. Now they're the only texture changes for ominous slate. The next ones come with titanium. First of all, titanium blocks you can see have been made. They do still look a little bit like copper. If, for example, I put copper next to it, you can see it still kind of looks like it. It's been made to look more like a smoother metal than copper. Now, the cut titanium, once again, just looks a lot more smoother, and the texture was changed slightly to make it not match the copper version. The titanium bulbs were also updated. You can see they now have a squarer pattern to them. And if you like them, that is what they look like lit. The titanium grate was also updated to be squares rather than like diamond shapes. Then chiseled titanium was also updated to be just a smoother version with a square in the center. And this is what it looks like with the normal titanium. It's just more of a detailed block. We then have titanium doors, which copy the same style as copper doors, just with some minor tweaks. You can see the handle has been moved and the windows have also been altered. And then the trapdoor has also had the windows updated to match the top of the door, like every other trapdoor. And if you want to see what every single block looks like, here they are. So I'm not going to put the slabs or stairs down just because they are the same as the full block. So there we go, that is the new titanium block set. It still follows the copper versions, and that is intended. We just wanted to change the textures because a lot of people didn't like that they were just rip-off versions of copper, which they no longer are. And while we're on texture updates, the Echo Flail has had a texture update as well. If I quickly just put in a item frame, you can see that the texture has been slightly modified to make it look a little bit better, and the holding of it has also been modified because before you couldn't really see when you were holding it. Now let's talk about the main part of this update, because we have changed the majority of mobs that spawn within the Tricky Trials. So let's quickly cover the melee mobs that spawn within the Tricky Trials. First, the Vindicator will spawn here. We have also made some changes to Vindicators. They will now have a axe again rather than a sword. Next is the Bouldering Zombie, which is a new zombie variant. You can see what it looks like right there. This zombie variant has a lot more attack damage, a lot more health. Also, it moves a little bit quicker, but this zombie can climb walls. So if I was standing up here, for example, and I was to go in survival mode, you can see the zombie will climb the wall to get to me. So it makes the zombies a lot more dangerous because they work just like spiders. And then we have the Viola Witch, which is a new witch version that comes from Minecraft Earth. So does the Bouldering Zombie, but the Bouldering Zombie was completely reworked. The Viola Witch just copies the Minecraft Earth look. Now this witch works pretty much the same as the normal witch, which we plan to change that in the future. We plan to make it so it's a little bit different. One current change, the potions it drinks when you damage it are different. The normal witch will drink things like fire resistance. The Viola Witch will drink potions that basically help it escape the player. Now let's cover the ranged mobs. First we have the Lobber Zombie. This zombie is a ranged mob. As you can see, if I go in survival mode, it will shoot rotten flesh at me with its mouth opening. The rotten flesh does do quite a lot of damage and it gives you nausea, but that could change before the final release. We then have the Bogged. The Bogged is a vanilla Minecraft mob that is making its way over. And then we have the Parasite. And the Parasite is a new skeleton variant. Now the difference between the Parasite and a normal skeleton, if I quickly just head up here and show you, the Parasite will shoot arrows at you and them arrows will be infested. So if you then get damaged by a load of other mobs, you'll have a chance to spawn silverfish. Now all these mobs are a lot harder than the trial chamber variants. They have a little bit more health and they also do have some more attack damage and speed. The small melees are currently baby bouldering zombies and vexes. Now you may be asking, what is the main mob of this structure? Because the main mob inside of the trial chamber is the breeze. Let's quickly just find the main mob because it shouldn't be too difficult to find. I think one spawns in here. Yes, there is the main mob. The main mob here is the Illusioner, which if I go in survival mode, you can see this is a place you can find the Illusioner inside of Survival Minecraft. So if you've always wanted to mess around with this mob, this structure is now a place you can find it. They spawn just like breezes, but it will spawn the Illusioner instead of a breeze. Now I do have one more update to the titanium bulb. A lot of people were saying they wanted this to work a little bit different to the copper bulb, and it does. It has 1 tick delay, like the OG copper bulbs when they first added to Java Edition. Now that is the mob changes inside of this structure. Let's cover some of the loot changes, because the loot in this structure was also not really worth it before. Now it has been made a lot more worth it. So the first thing is the vaults. The textures have been changed for these, only for this structure. The tricky key has a chance to drop from the normal spawners when you fight them. And then we have the ominous version, which we have the ominous key as well, and that has a chance to drop when fighting the ominous spawners. Now when you open these, they work just like the normal vaults, but the loot in them is a little bit different. The heavy core is easier to get from this vault than it is from normal ominous vault, and it is even more common from this vault. And then you can also see we did get 2 pieces of diamond armor. Now a lot of people may think diamond armor isn't really that useful. Well, this diamond armor is, because the armor you get from these 2 vaults, if I pick up this axe as well, you can see it's 1 level higher than the enchantment can be. So inside of the vanilla game, blast protection can only go up to level 4. Well, if it drops from one of these vaults, it will be the level 5. Same with every single enchantment. You can see we also did get Unbreaking, which is Unbreaking 4 instead of Unbreaking 3. If I quickly just open 2 more, we got a sword that time around. This sword has Bane of Arthropods. No, this has Bane of Arthropods 6 because the max is 5. We then did also get another one, which is Knockback 3 because the max in Minecraft is Knockback 2. The Trident don't have max enchantments, it's only diamond armor and tools, as well as bows and crossbows. We did also add titanium ingots to the loot table of this to make titanium a lot easier to obtain. You can get between 8 and 48 ingots every time you open one of these. Now I'll have a list on screen of every single enchantment you can get above the first level, because it's not every single enchantment in the game. So the first item is the fire resistance upgrade. This can be found from the normal vault, and there is a chance to get between 1 and 4 every time you open this vault. Now what does this do? Well, if you throw your netherite sword into lava, the sword doesn't burn. The sword will just float back to the surface, meaning you can pick it up. This does also work if you die in lava. While the netherite upgrade means you can combine it with any item in an anvil, it has to be in the second slot, and this item is now fire resistant. So if I take this diamond sword and throw it in lava, you can see the sword doesn't burn. And this can be done for any item inside of the game. There is one thing to note though, if you put it on a block, for example, if I put it on these anvils, one does do a stack of blocks, and you can see these anvils are now fire resistant. If I was to place this down and then break it again, let's quickly just grab a pickaxe. So now if I was to break it, you can see the fire resistance is gone, and that is the only issue, and that is just because blocks don't store their data components to them. The next item is a new music disc, and this was made by Centauri, and it's called Adventurous. If I quickly just play it, I was playing it behind in the video, so you might have heard it. But this is it in the jukebox. Now, we're not going to listen to the whole thing because once again, it has been playing while the video has been going on, so you would have heard it in the background. But it's a pretty cool music disc, and this can be found from the vaults. Now, you may be wondering, what is in this vault to make it good? Well, first thing is the maxed out armor. Nope, we didn't get it from them ones either, but you can also see while I'm doing this, the kind of loot you do get from these vaults, as it does give you quite a decent bit of loot. Nothing from that set either. So what is this item? Well, for this item to be used, you need to craft up a new block. And what is this block? Well, this block requires a heavy core in the center, 5 iron bars around that, and then 3 blocks of titanium. Now, the reason it requires titanium is so you have to come to this structure, as you could try to get the heavy core from the normal trial chamber, but if you do get it with the very low chance it has of dropping, you still have to come to this structure to get the titanium. And this gives you a ominous cage. So this is what the ominous cage looks like. And by default, it is unpowered. So if I quickly just open up F3, you can see it don't have any power going to it. And the way to power it is the item you get from the ominous tricky vaults. And that item is these, the Soul Essence. Soul Essence are dropped and they have a entity stored to them. Now, the entities you get is random. It will drop you one of any of these random entities. They come in most hostile overworld creatures. Now, you can't get any nether creatures or end creatures, and only mobs that are hostile towards the player. So here we go. If I head up here and place it down and then click the breeze on it, you can see it will then power and it will start spawning breezes. It has a delay in spawning them, so it don't spawn the breezes instantly. There is about a 200 ticks delay, and you can see it is spawning the breezes. Now, one thing to note, it will not infinitely spawn them. There is 12 mobs per block. Once the cage has spawned 12 mobs, it will basically depower, meaning that you have to get yourself another soul and click it on the block for more mobs to spawn. So it spawned 11, and there we go. There was the 12th entity, and you can see it has now gone depowered. And now, if I was to grab a different mob, so let's quickly just grab maybe the parasite and click the parasite on it, you can see it has now powered again, and the mobs are being spawned. This time it's spawning parasites rather than breezes. And once again, it will spawn 12 parasites, and then the block will depower until you click it again. And this block can be picked up and placed back down at any point. But when you break it, it will lose any data stored to it. Now let's cover the next features inside of this update, because that's not everything. The Echo Flail now has 2 custom enchantments, as well as it can now be enchanted with Mending, Unbreaking, also Fire Aspect, Smite, and things like that. It cannot have Sharpness though, and the reason it can't have Sharpness is because it has its own damage enchantment, which is Swinging. Swinging will increase the damage the Echo Flail does. It comes in levels 1 to 5, and this can be found inside of the enchantment table. So let's quickly just show you the difference. This has Swinging 5 and this doesn't. So if I was to hit a breeze, let's see how many hits it takes. That is 1, that is 2, that is 3, that is 4, that is 5, that is 6, that is 7. That is 8. So it takes 8 hits without any enchantments. Now let's try with Swinging 5. Let's do 1 hit, let's do 2 hits, let's do 3 hits, let's do 4 hits. And it takes 4 hits with swinging 5, so it does increase the damage ever so slightly. Now let's cover the next enchantment. This enchantment cannot be gotten from enchantment tables and can only be found inside of the vaults inside of the Deep Dark. And this is experience. It comes in levels 1 to 3. Now what does experience do, you may ask? Well, it increases the experience dropped by an entity. So let's give it a try. I have experience 3 on this one and no enchantment on this one. If I was to now go into survival mode, let's quickly just clear our XP. There we go, we have 0 levels and 0 points. If I was to now let's kill the cow. Okay, I killed the chicken by mistake, and with no enchantment, we got, what is that, 2.5 bars. If I was to now clear the points again, and let's kill a chicken with this enchantment. Where is another chicken? It has to be a chicken because other mobs will give different XP. So if I kill the chicken, you can see we got 1 level. And the final changes I want to mention in this video comes with 2 of the key items. And this is the city key and the echo key. So the first change, the echo key, we have changed how this is obtained. We did know that making it obtainable from killing a warden was a bit extreme. Well, it is now obtained from spawning a warden. When a warden spawns, there is a 50% chance that it will drop a key. And the key will drop exactly the same place it spawns. So you then have to run in, pick it up and avoid the warden, or you have to lure the warden away to then pick the key up. And this is purely just so there is still risk. You still have to risk the warden being in the world, whereas before you had to risk killing the warden, now you just have to risk spawning it and then avoiding it. And the city key. Before it was obtained from killing the ender dragon, we have now changed it so it's obtained from killing a shulker box. When you kill one of these, there is a 50% chance that it will drop a city key. The shulker shell drop for the shulkers hasn't been changed, we've just added the key to its possible loot table. Anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought of this update in the comments. It is quite a small one, and that is just because this update was purely focusing on feedback that you guys gave us from update 1. Once again, the best place to leave suggestions and feedback is within my Discord, as there is a forums for suggestions and bugs. But you can also leave them in the comments, although they're a bit harder to track that way. But anyway, if you did enjoy, do leave a like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!